What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Chris, man. We are here at the Work Hard, Play Harder podcast. It is June 16th, Monday, June 16th, 2025. My name is Christopher Drummond. I'm a freelance sports reporter based out of Minnesota here and proprietor of this podcast, Work Hard, Play Harder, where I bring individuals on to talk about their why and get to know them outside of their occupation. I got a special guest that's going to be coming on with me today. Her name is Sophie Weller. She is a Patriots beat reporter for A to Z Sports. She's also worked at Mass Live Sports as well. So she's been a sports reporter at a couple of different stops. We're going to talk to her about her why of being a sports writer, sports reporter, and have some get to know you questions as well. Without any further ado, I introduce you the wonderful, talented, and the beautiful Sophie Weller. Sophie, how we doing?
Good. How about you?
Doing good. You look absolutely lovely in the glasses. I love that.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. I just want to say thank you for allocating your time to me and hopping on my podcast. I love the book shelf right behind you as well. Love that too.
Thank
Look.
you.
How's your Monday going? How was your weekend?
It's good. Just, enjoying the little break we have before training camp. So,
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm glad it went well for you. I want to reiterate to you why I wanted to have you on here. I know you cover the Patriots for A to Z. I also know that you were a sports writer for Mass Live as well at one time. And I'm a sports journalist as well. I love talking to other journalists to talk not only about their why, but getting to know them. But I also want to hear your story because your story is just as important as anybody else's story. We're so used to getting the stories that we don't have a chance to talk about ourselves about how we got into where we are. So that was one of the main reasons that attracted me to want to talk to you. Also, I follow your tweets. I mean, you up on Patriot stuff. If anybody knows what you about, you are definitely up on Patriot stuff. That's for sure. And we're gonna get into some Patriots talk a little bit later into the podcast. But the first question is the same that I have for everybody that's on here, and that is, what is your why? Why do you do what you do? Did you have any inspirations, any role models growing up? But what is your why of getting into sports journalism?
my why. So it's funny. I never thought I wanted to be a journalist my whole life. I actually, like, in high school, I always joke that if I went back to any of my high school teachers and told them I'm a writer, they would laugh in my face. Um, I was so opposite of anything. I thought I wanted to do like the business side of sports and all that. But I got to school and it was quick to realize that the business side, actually, there was nothing specific that stood out to me.
Right.
But what did was broadcast side of things, the journalism. And, you know, I realized that if I can write about sports, I actually do enjoy writing. So I decided to add it as a double major, still kind of unsure what was going to happen. And then when I got my internship with Mass Live, everything changed for me because it was that experience that I I wouldn't be where I am today without, for two reasons. One, I wouldn't have known I loved it as much as I did had I not done that.
Sure.
It just also, gave me that experience that allowed me to be where I am today.
No, I love that. I do. And I'm sure with Mass Live, you was probably covering what, high school, college,
Yeah,
and
so I
professional?
started as high school. But what happened was, and it's a funny story actually, I had been applying, so this was the summer going into my senior year. I was applying to internships like crazy anywhere and everywhere. And it's so hard. You never hear back. Applying to
Right,
internships is probably the worst thing ever because like I
right.
was like, basically it feels like I'm getting ghosted 24/7. And I get a call from the high school sports editor over at Mass Live, who happens to be like one of the closest people to me in this industry. She's my mentor. I rely on her for so much.
Mhm.
Um, but she calls me. She's like, "Do you have any plans this summer?" And I was like, "Girl, I'm trying." Like I
Mhm.
would love some plans, but I can't. And she
Find
goes,
anything.
yeah, I can't find anything. She goes, we actually just got approval for our first professional sports intern.
Mm,
for the summer, and we want it for you. We want you to take
okay.
it. And I've never said yes faster. It was like, take some time to think. No, I don't need time to think. Where can I sign?
Right,
Give it to
right.
me right now. And that was my first experience of doing professional sports, covering the Patriots because I was at, I did OTAs, mini camp, and I helped out at training camp. So that was what made me realize, oh, this is the place I want to be.
Mm, I like that. Okay, that's a hell of a story, Sophie. I really like that. That's pretty dope.
Yeah.
You went to the, if I'm not mistaken, the University of Massachusetts Amherst, if I'm not mistaken.
I did.
Yeah. Talk to me about whether there were other colleges that could have persuaded you from going there, or was you dead set on going to that school?
Oh my gosh, no, not at I didn't even want to go to UMass Amherst at first. Um, I'm from Massachusetts, born and raised, just outside of Boston. So for me, the idea of staying in Massachusetts for college, I wanted a new experience. That was the
Sure.
whole thing was let's go to a different state. But the thing that kind of pulled me back in was that I wanted to work in Massachusetts after graduation. And when it came down to it, my top two schools were the University of Massachusetts Amherst and actually Kansas. I thought I wanted to be a Jayhawk. Both
Wow.
my cousins had gone there, so it was kind of like already in the family. They raved about it. I loved, they had the basketball, the football. They had those like it's a big sports school, which is I was like I want to be at those games and the rah rah of it all.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but with UMass, this is before I was even journalism, their sport management program is one of the best in the country.
Okay.
And they don't accept a lot of people into it. It is a highly competitive major, especially for in-state, actually, surprisingly, because it's in the business school, which is also very kind of rare for a sport management program, which sounds kind of funny because it's management, but a lot of schools don't have it in the business school. But for UMass, they did. And I had, talked to someone who had told me, we like to do a lot of out-of-state kids for the business school as much as we do in-state kids. It's like 50-50, but also
Sure.
their acceptance to the sport management program mirrored the industry. So they
Okay.
were very welcoming. I don't want to make it like sound bad that they weren't welcoming to women, but it was that typically it was a higher percentage of men got in than women
Sure.
just because that was the way things were playing out in the world. So I'm sitting there thinking there's no shot in heck I'm ever getting into this school. Like, not that I was a bad student, but I wasn't this, I was like an AB student. I was, and I'm thinking I had to have like straight A's, taken all the APs
Absolutely.
and
Right.
done all that. And I was like, oh God, no, that was so not me. But I woke up one morning and I ran down the stairs because I had gotten an email and I was too afraid to look. So I'm sitting on the couch and my mom's next to me. She's like, and she's literally sitting there like, just freaking open it. She's like, I'm nervous. Like, I don't want to wait any longer. Open the email. And
Sure.
I didn't even read it. I just saw congratulations, scrolled to the bottom and saw sport management. And the minute that
Wow.
email came in, my decision was made because I knew it was just a program I couldn't pass up on. And that's also part of the reason I kept that major even when I knew I wanted to pursue journalism. So I actually got two degrees from the University of Massachusetts. I have a separate sport management degree and a separate journalism degree.
I love that. That's awesome. That's an awesome story too. I want to get into some favorite questions. Okay.
Okay.
You just give me the 411 off the rip based upon these favorite questions. Okay. So here we go. Favorite meal you like to cook?
Oh my gosh, favorite meal? I don't know. My boyfriend's more the cooker in our like relationship. I'll sit on the couch and watch TV if he'll cook for me. But I make a salmon dish that I really enjoy. That's probably the
Okay,
favorite meal
man.
I cook.
Okay, now I'm with you on that. Ain't nothing like a
I
good
know how to
salmon.
cook like three things. Other than that, we're trying to learn maybe like every year I'll add to like a fourth, a fifth, but it's a slow
Hey,
process with me in cooking.
listen, we're sports journalists, right? We're
Yeah.
nights and weekends, so we don't have a lot of time to be in that kitchen whipping it up. We got to be in front of the TV watching or be at the game doing what we do. So anything we cook got to be quick and fast. You know what I
Exactly. He's
mean?
in sports too, so it's the same. We live on like pasta half the time,
I feel that. Okay,
or
I'm with you on
frozen,
that.
whatever we have in the freezer.
Okay, I'm with you on that. That's what's up. Um, Favorite concert you've ever attended?
I'm a Swiftie. The Eras tour. I'm a huge
Mm,
Swiftie, so that's always gonna win. I literally have like my whole sports shelf and then my Taylor Swift section right here.
wow. Okay,
So
so
it's all sports and then a small Taylor Swift section, but I could not give her time to shine.
I realized the magnitude of this past like Eras tour when I was flying from Minneapolis to um Miami because I was going on a cruise. And the cruise would dock in Miami, but it was the same weekend as Taylor Swift's Miami tour
God.
date all weekend. So everybody on the plane was singing Taylor Swift songs the whole ride.
Oh, it's crazy.
It was wild. I was like, my goodness. And the two girls that I was sitting next to spent $1,700
I did
ticket wise.
not do that.
Okay, that's good. That's
I did
good.
not, but no, it was my roommate in college was a diehard Swiftie and I was kind of in between for a while. I wasn't like her biggest fan, but like, it wasn't like I hate this girl, whatever. And it was either I had to get on the Taylor Swift train or not because that was the only thing she would play in our apartment.
Wow.
So it was either I was miserable for a year and then I just got really into it and we went,
Mhm.
from there it was okay, now I'm a total Swiftie. There's no
Okay.
going back.
There's no going back. No, and she's great. She's great doing her thing. No doubt. I would say my favorite concert was definitely Lil Wayne versus Drake. That
Oh,
concert
that's
was
got to
pretty
be
good.
awesome.
Yeah, that was fire. That was fire. No question about it. Favorite place you've ever traveled to?
The favorite place I've ever traveled would probably be Italy.
Now, what kind of trip was that? Was that a family trip, a girls trip, or?
Yeah, so my grandmother actually so there's five grandkids. She's five grandkids, including
Mhm.
myself, and her and my grandfather had actually traveled to all seven continents. So traveling was like a huge, like even Antarctica before, like they have traveled everywhere. So um before uh what her thing was that she wanted all of her grandkids to have that experience and to travel. So after we graduated high school, she took each one of us on a special trip. So I think my cousin did Spain, one of my cousins did Spain, the other did Paris. But I wanted to do Italy, and it actually was an incredible trip too, because my mom had wanted to go to Italy with my dad on their honeymoon, but my dad
Yeah.
had just gone. So she didn't get that trip for their honeymoon. So they actually tagged along. So it was the four of us on this trip
Okay.
right after I graduated. And we were there for 2 weeks. We went to so many different places and we had, I still have like funny stories from that trip from all of us. My favorite one is like my grandmother who's so like prim and proper. I have a photo of her like eating pizza with her hands because I was like, this is such a monumental moment, not using a
Yeah.
knife for pizza. Still have that photo on my phone.
I love that. I love that. Oh man, Italy is definitely on my bucket list. I would say my favorite place is Jamaica.
Oh,
Uh,
I went
Jamaica.
there when I was much, much younger. We did like a cruise. So we had like a one
Yep.
day stop, I'm pretty sure, in
Yep.
Jamaica. And
Yep.
like I said, I was so much younger. I don't remember it, but I do remember my dad buying me a dress there. That's like the one memory I have.
Oh yeah, it's a beautiful spot. Jerk chicken, the rice was amazing, the beach was amazing. The scenery was just amazing. It was a vibe, no question
That's
about it.
awesome.
So I love that, and that was one of my stops on my cruise. So
Oh,
yeah,
really?
Jamaica is definitely one of my favorite places to go. We are sports people, so I got to ask you a sports question. Favorite sport you like to watch on TV? Favorite sport you like to attend in person? They could be the same sport.
Okay. Well, favorite sport on TV is got to be football for me. I liked it before I was covering football.
Hmm.
I like this, it's just the constant there's just always something going on, in my opinion. It's such a physical game. Just the ins and outs of the game. And it's also such a big roster, which is what I think I like about it, is that there's so many different people to root for.
Yeah.
And so many different levels. Yes, the quarterback is always the one you're gonna auto like immediately gravitate towards, but Now that I've gotten more into the job and I can watch a game, I can recognize little things that I would never have picked up before on like the defensive line, the cornerbacks, like all these plays that they're making, even if it's not an interception or, batting down a ball at the line of scrimmage, but these little things that they do now, I can recognize that. And to me, it just makes watching that game like, as much as I love covering it, if we like when you get a bye week and you can just put red zone on for that one, you got that
Oh
one
yeah,
weekend where you can put red zone on as a beat reporter. Oh, there's nothing like it.
I
Uh,
love that.
Favorite one in person, I'll pick different one because I did go but I love basketball. I think like if
Okay.
I can go to like a Celtics game in person, nothing like it. I played soccer for 13 years, so I'm beyond excited because Boston just is starting a women's soccer team. So I think that
Oh,
can quickly become my favorite sport to watch in person. Because I love all things women's soccer and just, I was such a fan of US women's national team, all that. So I'm excited for Boston. I'll be at all those games.
that's amazing. I love to hear that. Um, I'm the same. Basketball in person, that's my favorite. I grew up in California, so I was a huge Lakers fan, huge Kobe fan. So I definitely always loved that. My uncle is actually a Celtics fan,
Oh my
so
God.
he loves the Celtics. And football on TV. Stadium's just too damn big. If you ain't sitting close or you ain't on the sideline, they're gonna look miniature, and you just looking at the Titantron at that point. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I like that. That's a pretty good answer. Now I'm a foodie, Sophie. So last of the favorites is favorite restaurant that you like to eat at, because I will be touching down in Boston at some point.
Okay. Favorite restaurant. I have two that are
Okay.
like always on my list. There's one called Lolita's. It's a Mexican restaurant. Um, Absolutely amazing food. And just like the whole vibe and experience there is amazing. The other one is called Buttermilk and Bourbon,
Yeah.
which is it's like Southern food, but they serve it in like a tapas style, so it's smaller dishes, and the whole point is to like share and so those are my two go-tos in Boston.
Okay. Well, most certainly, I'm gonna have to say what's up to you when I do touch down in
Yeah,
Boston.
for sure.
And I'm definitely gonna have to hit those restaurants up because I'm a huge, like I said, foodie. So good steak place, good breakfast place, and anything barbecue. If you got
Oh,
something there, barbecue, I definitely like that too.
dinner.
Um, I like that. So I want to ask you about your day-to-day operations because, as I know, as sport journalists, and as you know, our days are never the same. Every day is a different day. Whether we're covering a different game, a different story, whether it's a feature story, whether it's a editorial, whether it's a preview, or whatever sport it is, it's something different every day. That's what we love because it would be boring if we did the same thing over and over and over again. Talk to me about your day-to-day process of covering the Patriots and doing that. I can imagine it's different in the off season than it is in regular season.
Yeah, so I'll start with the off season just because we're in it right now. Um,
Hmm.
for the next few weeks, I'm actually like I kind of work from home. And it's content's a lot lighter right now because the players are on like their version of summer break.
Right.
So they're away from the stadium, they're back home typically, or going on trips and things of that nature. So it's staying home. I'm constantly on Twitter. That's like our main source. I'm on Instagram, if they post like a fun video of a vacation, I might get something on that just to, these guys are human, and I think a lot of people forget that.
Right.
That, yes, 99% of their life is football, but that 1% that they devote to family and travel and, I love to tell those type of stories as well. So right now it's just kind of searching. It's a lot harder to search for that content right now, but you're just looking around. Then during the season, that's when there's so much content typically. You're just like, oh my gosh, it's all in front of you. Because we're at the stadium anywhere from 3 to 5 times a week.
Mm.
Uh yeah, we if it like a schedule last year, we were there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We would watch practices, we would talk to the players in the locker room. We would have like we'd speak to Mike Vrabel 3 times a week actually, because once would be on like or not Vrabel last year, season it was Gerard Mayo, but like
Yeah, Mayo,
um
yeah.
meaning like we'd speak to the head coach about 3 times a week prior, and then again on game day. So it's just there's always, content. The only day off you really have is like a Tuesday, but there's still plenty to write about even then.
Sure.
Um, and yeah, that one's just kind of you're always moving. Um, you know,
Mm,
um, you're going somewhere, whether it's Gillette becomes like a second home at that point. Um,
yeah, absolutely.
Especially the funny part is when we were there with Bill Belichick, we were the schedule he would set out was a lot like more spaced out for reporters. So we would be there from like 11 a.m. to like 6 p.m. We'd or even earlier sometimes because he loved to talk early morning. So it could be like 9 a.m., 10 a.m. And we'd be there all day just kind of, and a lot of it was downtime waiting. But with
Right.
this what the newer schedule they put together is we kind of the reporters go back to back to back with everything. So but it's still, even if you're not there till 6, 7, you're home and you're doing it till 6, 7, or even later. I don't go anywhere without my laptop. That's like a known fact about me to my friends, to my family. If I show up anywhere, I'm gonna have my backpack with me and my laptop will be in it. Um,
Typical reporter. Yep.
and there will be a chance I will have to bring that out. I mean, I one of my like most famous moments is I was at a Christmas Eve party a few years back, and literally something major broke for the Patriots. I can't even remember exactly what now, but I had to like pull out my computer and write it up in like 5 seconds, and I'm sitting there. Literally everyone's like drinking and at this party, and I'm sitting on the couch just quickly typing up like a story on this breaking news.
Absolutely. That's the life of a reporter. You just never know when things change, when news breaks. And obviously, we love that, but it can also be taxing. It can also take a toll on you at times, right? But which kind of segues to this next question, which is mental health and work-life balance. Hard to have work-life balance when, we're bringing our backpacks and our laptops and we're trying to disconnect and be with our family and our friends because like you said, they're human, we're human too. But we also are advocate for our community, a pillar for our community because they want to know the information on the players. We want to be first to the information as well, and we want to be accurate. Tell me, how do you keep your mental health strong without experiencing burnout, but also have that work-life balance? Because you're a daughter, you got families, you have a boyfriend as well. So trying to dedicate as much time to them, but also have some time to yourself, got to be a little bit challenging as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. And listen, with burnout, I'm still figuring it out because there are definitely times when I'm I'm experiencing burnout and I have to figure out, how to get myself back on track.
Hmm.
And I think that's going to happen for any reporter throughout the length of their career. I don't think there's actually one answer to burnout that can ever, because we all experience it at different times. But in terms
Yep.
of my mental health, that's something I'm very big on, because it's something I've struggled with in the past. And well, now I'm at a better place than I've ever been. I want to make sure I'm staying at this place and that I don't revert back to the ways that I was a few years ago. So with that, I rely on my family a lot, because I have trouble shutting it down. I have trouble telling myself, no, take a break, like you're done. Because I'm like, if I'm here, I'm on. Like, I can do all this at once. And with my family, they'll kind of be like, come on, let's go out to dinner tonight. Let's, do this tonight. We do like a lot of family barbecues with just like all my family in the area. So that's always really nice.
Mm,
When I'm on vacation, that's another thing. Like I can't even really shut off fully when I'm on vacation.
right.
No,
Right.
I don't really know many journalists who can just completely be done, and completely be offline. But with that, yes, I'll devote certain times of the day when I'm on vacation to being online if I can. But when I'm out, like when we're doing something, I'm shut off. Like, I can be on social media if needed, but in terms of maybe like writing, I can get that later in the day. But I'm not gonna, drop everything on a vacation to go get that immediately unless it's
Sure.
you know, Tom Brady retiring.
Sure. Yeah, that was big time.
So,
Sure.
it's just the balance, and I'm still figuring it out. I'm still so young and new in my career that I wish I had a perfect answer, but I don't. I feel like I'm always on all the time. And I'm very lucky that my family is so understanding, um, because they know that there's a solid chance if I'm home, I'm gonna have to bring my laptop out. If my boyfriend and I go to dinner in Boston and I'm waiting on some news or I think something might happen, I have like you have like that little like back like the reporter little like, oh, if you have a bad feeling like something's gonna happen tonight. And so like I can't leave my laptop at home. He's been with me when we've literally been at a restaurant. I've had to take my laptop out and write up a quick story in the middle of dinner. And they're so understanding. And I think that plays a huge factor into it for me because, without that support, I'd be constantly worrying that I'm doing something wrong or that I'm losing the people closest to me because of my job. But
Right.
they're so supportive of it all. And you know, they're just as happy about the job. If I'm writing something up, I'll call my dad right after the story's posted. I'm like, did you see this news? And we'll talk about it for a while. So, yeah.
I love that. That's pretty cool. Pretty awesome. What advice? You did say you was young in your career. Just obviously not too many years in it, but you've been doing it for a few years. What kind of advice would you give to a college student right now that wants to follow in your footsteps and be a sports journalist?
Take advantage of every single opportunity to just get your name out there, get your content out there. That's the biggest thing for me. Going back to the Mass Live internship, I don't think I mentioned this part of the story, but actually when I applied for that internship, I was a member of the newspaper at UMass, and the sports editor at the time had sent an email saying, "Hey, Mass Live is looking for some freelancers for like football this spring or this fall, if anyone's interested." And I was like, because I had just joined the major. I was 2 years behind everyone else, and even
Mhm.
farther because some of these kids have been doing it since high school. And again, I hated writing in high school, so
Absolutely.
I had no idea what I was doing. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna do this. And I apply it. And to this day, I don't know if it was just me not reading like the entire form correctly because it was like a Google form. But at
Hmm.
the bottom, how I read it was like, are you interested in more opportunities with us? And I was like, oh yeah, like freelance opportunities, like yeah, anything to get my name out there. And so I clicked yes. And about 2 or 3 weeks later, I'm on a trip with my cousin visiting my grandmother in Florida. And I get an email saying, congratulations, we've selected you to be one of our interns at Mass Live for like, the 2022 school year or something.
Okay.
And our 2021-2022 school year, I think it was. And I was like, I literally thought it was spam. I thought it was like I was getting punked or something. I did not think it was real. And I texted a friend of mine on the paper and they were like, no, that's legit. You got the internship, like that's yours. And I was like, I didn't even know I applied.
Wow.
So, you know,
Wow.
but
Okay.
yeah, right. It's still, and like again, the editor over that I'm very close with at Mass Live, we still joke about it to this day. Cause it's like when I told you that story eventually, I mean, there's so many stories I have of just like everything. I loved that job so much. I wasn't willing to like miss a shift if I didn't, unless it was life or death. Literally, I had an incident where my car was hit and I was totaled. And I
Wow.
was totally okay though, but I had a game in like an hour. And I called my best friend to pick me up on the side of the road, bring me home quickly so I could change. And she drove me to the game that night so I wouldn't miss it.
That is truly a best friend right there. That is a ride or die.
Right?
That's what's up.
That was a ride or die friend, but also, and so when I told the sports editor that that had happened, because I didn't tell her before, because I knew she would tell me to go home, and I didn't want that. I wanted to work.
Right.
Which no one should, not no one should do this. This was like I got yelled at for so long by her for ever doing this, but um, I loved my job. I truly loved everything about my job. And I didn't want to miss a shift, because in my
Right.
head, I knew it was never going to happen. But I'm like, oh my God, if I miss this one, like, what if they give the next one away? And it's like, no, like, I'm going to make it. So yeah, no, like, I made it to my game on time. And when I finally sent her the story after it was all done, I go, and by the way, this happened to me tonight. And she was like, Sophie, I'm going to kill you. Like, you did not work tonight after that happened.
That-
Um,
wow.
yeah.
I'm amazed that you got there. I'm amazed that you was in one piece. Thank goodness. Thank the Lord. And your best
Yes,
friend
it
got you
wasn't
there
like
on
a
time.
terrible one. It was an older car too. So like when I say like totaled, it was a very old car that was past the point of return even before probably. But
Okay.
um
Okay.
no, it was just, and of course like when it first happened, I'm like a mess, but I'm still like I gotta make it to work on time. And um so no, I obviously don't, that's not my advice. Don't do that. Definitely don't. That was an unhealthy moment. That was an unhealthy obsession for me with my job. But what I will say is take advantage of every single opportunity you have, because
Mhm.
I wouldn't without Mass Live, I wouldn't be where I am. And another thing is that when they called me with that sports internship for the summer, with the professional sports one, it was because, she would message and be like, "Hey, a last minute game just popped up. Is anyone around today to take it?"
Sure.
And I would throw my name in immediately. I had to be told like, Sophie, you gotta wait at least 5 minutes to see if anyone else takes it. You can't respond 30 seconds after I send the message. We got to give some of the other interns a chance. Uh,
Sure.
I just wanted to take, like I said, I wanted every opportunity.
Yeah, you want the reps.
I
You want
wanted
the
the
reps.
reps. I wanted the experience. I wasn't super comfortable at first talking to coaches, so I
Mhm.
wanted just more opportunity with that. Um, and the other thing is if your school has a newspaper, join that immediately. Um, I got to cover some incredible things. I started with women's soccer because I had played for so long and that was the sport, but at UMass, the big sport is hockey. And they were
Sure.
coming off, when I started covering them, they were coming off of a national championship. And I got picked to be on the beat for that whole season, covering a team
Okay.
that had just won. And I got to cover all their games. I got to cover a game at TD Garden. That was my first like professional stadium or arena I got to cover it in. And I always say covering that coach prepared me to cover Bill Belichick my first year out of college, because he was a very not to this no one's to the same level as Bill when it comes to the media, but he would not be afraid to tell you if like you asked a bad question, or
Sure.
like he would make fun of you in the middle of a press conference if something happened. Like he was not afraid to give you something back. And it prepared me better than I could have ever imagined for what I would experience. And I went to a game when they were playing in Boston, and I went up to him at the game and I said, I have to tell you, that was the best experience because you prepared me. And he's like, I think that's a compliment and I love it.
That's what's up. No, I'd love that. I'd love to
Yeah.
hear that. I want to get to my interactive game that is called This or That. And what that means, Sophie, is that I'm going to ask you a few things and you get to choose this or that. So I'm going to ask you, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Here we go. Which of these two restaurants, if you had to choose, would you eat at? KFC or Popeyes?
I'm gonna have to go Popeyes.
Okay, I'm with you on that. I like that. We off to a good start.
I didn't have a
Now,
good experience at KFC, and I've never had Popeyes, but I was like, I gotta go with.
oh Lord, you say you ain't never had
I've
Popeyes?
never had it, no.
Okay, we gonna have to change that, girl. We're gonna have
Okay,
to change
I'll
that.
work on it, I promise.
Yes, indeed. Uh, if you're eating chicken wings, what flavor would you rather have on a wing? Barbecue or lemon pepper?
What was the second one?
Lemon pepper.
Oh, lemon pepper, any day.
Okay. Do you like your wings wet or dry?
I like buffalo wings, so probably wet, if
Okay. Do you like your wings bone in or boneless?
boneless.
More meat. I'm with you on that.
For
And
me,
do you
it's
eat?
just getting messy. Rather
Oh,
just that's my bigger thing. I just like I hate getting my hands all dirty. I'm like,
okay. So you eat it with a fork.
yes.
Okay. I got you. I got you. That's okay. That's all right. Hey, it's all love. It's still all love. You said boneless wings. Boneless wings are good. That's for sure. Okay. Which player do you revere more? Tom Brady or David Ortiz?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That might be the hardest question I've ever been asked.
Mm,
Gosh. It's so hard because they both
yep.
I mean, just because of what I do, I think I have to go with Tom,
That's okay. That's all
but
right.
by like 0.001%. Like David
I
Ortiz.
I totally understand. I get it. It's a very difficult question, but this one might even be just as difficult. This next one. Which player do you revere more? Do you revere Julian Edelman or do you revere Jason Tatum?
I think for right now, with what they've done, it's Julian Edelman
Okay.
because Jason Tatum still, even with his injuries, at like the height of his career. And he still has so much left to give. Whereas like Julian Edelman, you're looking back at everything he did, and everything he contributed. So I think one day I'm gonna be saying the same thing, like, oh my God, I can't decide. But just right now, because we're looking at someone who's like in their career versus someone who's out of their career, has to be
Mhm.
Julian Edelman.
Okay. These next four questions have to do with music concerts that you rather attend. So the first concert, which concert are you going to? Beyonce or Rihanna?
Oh my gosh. Think Beyonce, gotta go Beyonce.
Okay, you sure?
I don't know. No, I'm not sure. I don't know. They're both so good.
That's funny. I like that. Okay. Okay. Here we go. Which music concert would you rather go to? Lil Wayne or Drake?
Lil Wayne,
Okay. Which music concert would you rather go see? Casey Musgraves or Carrie Underwood?
Casey Musgraves.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
So
I like.
that one has a backstory though. My dad is like become this diehard Casey Musgraves fan, and anytime I got in the car with him for like a year, he would be playing her one of her newer albums. So I think it's just like it's in my mind so much. Like I know every word to this album, even though I don't think I've ever played it for myself once, because it was literally the only thing he would play in the car. He's like, "We're putting on Casey, like that's what we're doing."
Wow. Okay, I like that. Shout out to your dad. That's what's
Yeah.
up. You got good taste. Last one. Which music concert would you rather go to? Would you rather go see Panic at the Disco or AJR?
Panic at the Disco.
Yeah, they're pretty good. They're
I
pretty
love
good.
Panic at the Oh my gosh. That was on like every playlist I think I had in like, growing up.
Sure, absolutely. I'm with you
But
on that.
AJR is very, very good too. And
Yeah,
I've never been, but my boyfriend's has been to one concert. He's going to a second. He says they put on like one of the best shows ever.
I'm
So
sure. I'm sure. No doubt. Which sport would you rather watch on TV? Baseball or hockey?
hockey,
Okay. Which sport would you rather play? Badminton or bowling?
probably bowling.
Are you a good bowler?
Not at all, but I mean, I like to pretend.
Do you have to use the bumpers?
No, no. Okay,
Okay, good,
no
good,
matter
good.
how bad I will ever be, will not be using the bumpers.
Yeah, because you wouldn't be on the same lane as me. You had to move
No,
your ass over.
no, no bumpers.
I feel you on that. Okay. I like that. Do you like desserts?
Oh, yes. I work at a
Okay.
candy store.
Oh, okay. I
Have to
like
like
that.
dessert.
Well, you got to name that store that you work at because I might have to pull up. If
Indulge
y'all
in
got
Newton.
gummies in y'all store?
Oh, we have everything.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you might have to give me the
Every
name
type
of
of
that. I'm gonna name four. different categories of desserts. You got to choose one of these that you will never eat again.
Okay.
Okay. So here's the first one. First one is candy. The second one is cookies. The third one is cake slash pie. So they group together. And the last one is ice cream. Which one are you getting rid of?
Think I have to go cookies.
Oh, hell no. What?
I I don't know. Yeah, see, ice cream, like the funny part is I don't even eat ice cream that much, but the idea of never having it again is like too scary to me.
Got you. Okay.
Candy, I work at a candy store. I can't say no. And
Uh,
cake and pie,
pie. Yeah.
I mean, what's Thanksgiving without pie? And then cake, like an ice cream cake is my favorite type of cake. So that's two right there. I can't just get rid of.
I feel you. Okay. So what is your favorite ice cream?
My favorite, I like chocolate chip. I'm very basic.
I got you. So so just chocolate chip or chocolate chip cookie dough?
Either. I would do either, but typically, like if I'm buying it at the store, I will just get chocolate chip.
I like that. That's probably my third favorite. The
It's the
cookie dough is
first
my
two.
cookie dough is my second favorite, and my all-time favorite is cookies and cream. So
Oh, okay.
the Mayfield or the Breyers Blue, where it has the Oreo, the Breyers Oreo, that's my favorite. Do you like potato chips?
Yes. Who
Okay, so this
how do you not?
you be damn surprised who I talk to on this platform that people do not like potato chips. You'd be surprised. Let me say that I'm gonna give you four brands. Same format. You got to choose one of these you will not eat again. So here we go. First one is gonna be Lay's. The next one is gonna be Ruffles. The third one will be Pringles. The last one is gonna be Doritos. Which one are you getting rid of?
It's probably gonna be a hot take, I'm gonna be honest, but I'm not the biggest fan of Doritos. So that would probably be, I know.
Huh,
Told you it was probably gonna be a hot take.
Sophie, Sophie, come on now. Come on.
If out of all three that you name, four that you named, that's the one I have to.
Okay. So what's your favorite potato chip?
I like a if you do like just normal potato chip with Ruffles. I was it right there.
Okay. Well, you earned some points back because Ruffles is the favorite chip.
Yeah,
I like
it's
sour cream and cheddar is my favorite.
oh, that's those and like the sour cream and onion and Pringles. So good.
Yeah, those are pretty good. Those are pretty good. You did very good on the this or that. You
Take it.
did very good. You did good. You answered some tough questions on there. Now I have two top four questions. My top four questions. First one is going to be about Boston. I need a top four from you for when I touch down in Logan Airport, because that's where Boston is. What should I do? What is the top four things that I should do?
Well, eat in the North End. You got to
Okay.
get some good like Italian North End food because that's just insane. Take a walk around the Boston Common and the public gardens, especially if you're here in the summer. It's just beautiful.
Okay.
I like going, I live very close, so I'll like take a blanket over and just go sit there. And sometimes I've even brought my laptop and I'll do work from there.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's a big one. Another place to eat is Faneuil Hall because that's like that giant food hall where there's just so many different options.
Okay.
You can't go wrong, and just explore the seaport. Um, there's and if you're there's like this little place too in the seaport that's one of my friends and I's favorite places. It's called Cisco Brewery. It's
Okay.
all outdoors and it's actually that they took old like shipping containers and they made them into bars and there's like little
Now
food
you
trucks.
talking. Yeah, I'm with you on
So
that.
it's and there's tables and there's like, there's cornhole, there's like giant Jenga. They have all this fun stuff and you can just go and spend hours there. Literally, you lose track of time. It's so fun.
It's so crazy, and I'm so happy that you said cornhole because quick little fun fact. They don't call it cornhole here. They call it bags in
Oh,
Minnesota. They say, "Do you want to play bags?" And I was like, "Bags of what?" And they was like, "I was like, what are you talking about?" They was like, "No, you want to like play bags, throw it in the hole." I said, "Cornhole." They was like, "Yeah, no, we don't say cornhole up here in the Midwest." I was like, "Okay, that's different. I've
Yeah.
only known it as cornhole. I haven't known it as anything else, but, to each his own." I thought that was
Yeah.
funny, though.
I
She
only
said, "Do you
know it
wanna
as
play bad?"
cornhole. That's all I
Right.
know it is.
Right. So, and I lived in California, I've lived in Georgia, I spent time in New York, and I've also spent time now here. And out of those other 3 states, they've only called it cornhole. So I was like, that's different. Okay. But I digress. That's what's up. I
Hey,
had to throw that out.
you gotta adapt.
Right. I'm in the Midwest now, so I gotta adapt a little bit. Give me a top four of events that you would like to cover in your journalistic career. And I'll give you 4 examples from me. I had a chance to do the Super Bowl this past February, so knocked that off the list. But I want to do a WNBA All Star game. That'd be great. I would love to do a NBA Finals. I would love to do a national championship game or playoff for football, but I also want to do a Final Four as well because I'm a huge college basketball fan at that time. And then obviously the Olympics when they come
Yeah.
to my hometown state of California and LA. That'd be great. That'd be amazing to do. Give me a top four events you would like to cover.
Yeah, number one is always gonna be Super Bowl, just because I'm hoping with the way I'm going, one day I'll get to
Yeah,
cover one.
I'm about to say because that hope is gonna be a long time of hope.
Yeah, but
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
hopefully
but
one.
playoffs, I think it's a possibility y'all can get into that 6, 7
Exactly.
seed.
Getting to cover a playoff game
Hmm.
that's number two because that'll be really cool. I haven't had that experience yet to get to
Yeah,
see that environment. Um, then non-football, I'm with you. WNBA All-Star game, right there with
yeah,
you,
yep,
easily. Oh
yep.
my God, if I could probably pick anyone outside of the Super Bowl to go cover, I'd be on the next plane. Um,
Yes. I'm
and
waiting. I was gonna do this year in Indianapolis, but then I unfortunately got a little sick earlier this year. And I'm still in kind of the recovery phase. I'm doing a lot better, but it kind of derailed some plans, so I wasn't able to go this year. But 26 is my plan. My plan is
oh
to
my
go to
gosh.
WNBA at 26.
I can't wait to see. Yeah, no, I absolutely love the WNBA. I love.
Hmm.
Um, I got to cover actually with Mass Live before I moved to A to Z. I got to cover I think it was one or two Connecticut Sun games
Mm,
um while I was there, which was like so cool. I was like
okay.
fangirling out, which are internally because you can't really do that when you're a journalist, but internally I'm like,
Right,
oh my God.
right.
And I think the other one to cover would be a women's World Cup final or Olympic final. Soccer.
Okay. Okay, I like that. That's pretty cool, pretty awesome. Um, what is some advice, Sophie, that someone has gave you that you hold on dearly to?
Yeah, I am so lucky to work in the industry and cover the team I cover because there are some really, really incredible reporters. Um, but one of the best pieces of advice I ever got was right before I even added journalism as a major in school. I didn't think I could do it. I was, my past with writing, I hated it. I was like,
Mm,
oh my gosh, there's no way this is going to happen. This isn't for me. And he met with me for coffee. One of the journalists, he covers the Patriots now. It's ESPN's Mike Reese.
yep,
He was a family friend and we met for coffee and I was literally I brought a paper I had written for school in college. I had taken a freshman writing class and I brought a paper and I was like, I don't know. Like, this is the only piece I have. I don't know if I can do this. And without even looking at the paper, he goes, you can do this. You can do this. You have the passion
right,
for it. Everything
right,
else will come after that.
right.
Um, was I the best writer? Am I the best writer when I started this job or now? No. I read other pieces and I'm like, oh, the way they like transitioned, or I'm like, I wish I had thought of that. So I'm constantly learning and growing as a writer, but
Yep,
the passion, if you're, I get to do something I love every single day, and
yeah,
I feel so incredibly lucky. There's to get to say that I get to cover the New England Patriots for a living, to get to go to Gillette Stadium and cover that team that I grew up watching. Um, it's sometimes I feel like it's like a pinch me, I'm dreaming moment.
Right.
He told me
No
that
doubt.
you have the passion, you can do it. And that's the best piece of advice I've ever gotten, that you don't have to be necessarily the best writer, but that all comes with time. What's there is if you can sit there, if you can watch the game and, you know, if I know so many people who don't love what they do for a living.
Right.
Do it to do
There's a
it.
lot of people,
And
a lot of people that do that.
the
No doubt.
passion, I have to think, is it their best work when your passion's not in it? Because my answer would be no. If I didn't have a passion for this and I had to write every day, oh my gosh, the writing wouldn't be great.
I'm totally with you there. I mean, yeah,
But
sports is everything
yeah,
to me.
but
To me.
you get to no, I'm right there, literally right there with you. I mean, my whole story of getting into sports was that I used to watch with my parents. It was either in one room my mom had Food Network on, and the other room my dad had sports on. And I started by watching the Food Network with my mom, but I would always get so freaking hungry that I eventually had to transition and I started watching sports with my dad, and that's how it all came together.
Right.
So,
Absolutely. Love that.
the passion started from a young age, and I used to always love being that, like, that little girl in like conversation. I could talk to these like adult men growing up. I'd be with next to my dad and we're talking about sports and I'm right there with them following along with every conversation and adding even in my own input. That
Yep.
used to be like I used to love doing that, to just shock them. That shock factor of like, oh my God, this girl is like, so young and she's sitting here talking and matching us word for word on all of our sports analysis.
Yeah, I used to sit in front of the TV too and watch the basketball games. I used to take stats. I used to like write
Oh my gosh.
MJ and Scotty and Kobe and Shaq. And when we had the Lakers game on, my dad would watch it and I would have my pen and pad and I would take stats. And every time they make a basket, I would write two. And I'd be like a statistician. I just love the game and I love basketball, I love football. And that's the thing about us as sport journalists. We cannot allow the fire to burn out. We got to
No.
stay as passionate. And listen, we all have our dog days in this industry. And you know about the dog days, so do I. But at the same time, I would not trade this occupation with nobody. I love what I do. I love when that I look at that credential and it says Chris Drummond and it said Super Bowl 59. That's just amazing. And I'm walking around bumping heads with media people and talking to players and talking to different. That's just a blessing that comes with it. And the storytelling aspect of it is the main thing, is that we get to tell these different stories or talk to these different players and find out their backgrounds, and not just the players and the coaches, but also media too. You get the network like you did with Mike Reese, who is somebody who I'm very fond of. I hope I can get him here on this podcast. I really
He's
do,
the
because it would be
best.
amazing to talk to, for sure. But yeah, I definitely would just love to continue hearing people's stories because it's inspiring to listen to. And I admire a lot of people who come on this platform, especially my podcast, that talk because they're doing incredible things, and that where they came from to get to where they are now is just amazing to hear and see.
It's like a pinch me. It really
Mhm.
is half the time. I'm like, "Oh my God." Another moment I had was like last year at training camp when Kay Adams came to she did her show from Gillette
Yeah,
Stadium for one of the
yeah,
practices. And she's standing right next to me and I'm talking to her and introducing myself and I'm like, "Oh my God." Like, what is life right now, you know?
right, right. And you've seen her multiple times on the NFL Network, and uh, it is a pinch me moment because it's like, my goodness, what is going on? Like, where am I at right now? Like, I cannot believe I'm in Media Row and Sarah Spain, we're having a conversation. You're talking to
Right?
me. Like, what is going on? So it's amazing, and I'm so happy for you because you're doing great things in the industry. I'm obviously been a fan of yours for quite some time because we've been trying to put this together for a while, you and
I
I.
know, I'm so it was
Uh,
during the season and then
I
I was
feel
making
it. I
some
feel it.
moves and
And me too, me too. Obviously, I was out of commission for a good 12 weeks, just trying to deal with my sickness and stuff like that. But, we finally have gotten on here, and I love that. I love hearing your story about being a Massachusetts native, going to the University of Mass Amherst, writing and covering high school, college, and now professional, being a Patriots beat writer. It's amazing things that you're doing, Sophie. Obviously, I'm a new fan of yours. I want to, before I let you go, we got to get into some Patriots talk though. And
Yeah.
it's never a quiet off season, at least not for the past few seasons for these Patriots. Obviously, with Gerard being let go, Mike Vrabel comes in, former linebacker of the Patriots. Not only that, but you got Stephon Diggs, who just signed a 3-year, $69 million contract. And what he's in the news for is not what the contract signed, but what he doing on the boat. And what he's doing on the boat and things like that. This Patriots team with Drake May, I think, is going to surprise some people, but it's going to be very tough to crack that AFC playoffs because you got Buffalo, obviously, Josh Allen. You got three teams in the North in Pittsburgh, Baltimore, and Cincy, who I think can make some noise. Kansas City probably is going to win the West, but you could have some improved teams. Somebody in the South got to win that damn division. I don't know who's going to win it, but somebody got to. But I can't call who's going to win it because all the teams been terrible. But if I got to give it to anybody, it's probably Houston. So at least four division winners, which I think will be Buffalo, Baltimore, Houston, and Kansas City. What are the chances of the Patriots making the playoffs, and what do you think is going to be the biggest storyline for the Patriots coming into the season?
Do I think it's possible? Yes.
Mhm. Mhm.
I think simply looking at roster talent and at strength of schedule, this team has everything they need to crack the playoffs to earn a wild card spot.
Right.
That being said, there's roster unfortunately roster talent isn't the only thing that you have to factor in because these are a lot, they made a lot of changes to the roster. Yes, the roster last year wasn't strong, but the one thing that these players had in common was most of them had worked with each other before. They were coming from Bills, time. They had been on the Patriots together. He's made a lot of changes. I mean, David Andrews is gone, Joe Cardona is gone, Juwan Bentley's gone. Like
Yep.
these are three main guys, and there's so many more I can think of that just aren't with the team anymore who have been staples of this team for so long. So I
Right.
think they have to learn how to play with play together, and they have to learn how to be a team. It's not, they have the individual talent to go far, but they, unfortunately, individual talent doesn't win a game. Uh,
Right.
this this is a team game. There's 11 players on the field at one time that need to play like one in order to make things happen. And, you know, if that's the biggest thing. For the biggest storyline to watch, I have two.
Okay.
One is just going to be Drake's second year. That's going to be huge, and just seeing how he does with, a solid offensive line with a true number one receiver and Diggs, depending on when he comes back or if he's ready to go by week one.
Mhm.
Bringing in Travion Henderson. I mean, that kid is so flippin' fast. You watch him go and there's like, gush of it, like air behind him that we're all like, he's so fast. So, I think that that's going to be a big thing is that second year for Drake on the defensive side of the ball. I'm so excited to see that defensive front with Milton Williams, Christian Barmore, and Keon White. That to me is such a lethal combination of players.
Mhm.
I would never want to have to stand across from them on a field and go against them. And then with Christian Gonzalez having Carlton Davis now, that was the thing is Christian Gonzalez is a top cornerback in this league, but teams were quickly figuring out how to go around him because they would just target other guys because there's only one of him. And
Right.
they didn't have anyone who could really match him last season. Now you have Carlton Davis coming in who can match that. And so teams, how's that going to affect the opposing team's passing game? So I just
Yeah.
think that those are my main three that I'm so excited for.
Well, they definitely gonna get tested with Waddle and Hill being in Miami. They're also gonna get tested in Buffalo as well with Josh Allen and that guy. The Jets, I can't really see much going on with them
The
this
Jets always find
particular
a way
year.
to be the Jets. I
But
just
yeah,
never know what to expect with them.
never know what to expect. But I think the main thing that I'm looking at for the Patriots, just real quick before I get to my final question, is the offensive line. You name some
Yeah.
people that have left. I really need to know, can Drake May stay upright, or is he going to have to maneuver and move around? Can that offensive line gel quickly? Because you do lose a staple like Andrews, right? And he didn't want to go anywhere else. So I believe he retired. I believe he retired, if I'm not mistaken. The
He did.
offensive line is going to be something that I'm going to look at with the Patriots. Can they block for Drake May? And because if they do, the kid got a cannon. He can get the ball out. Like he can definitely get it to the
He did
receivers.
that last year with no offensive line. I think we
Right.
got to see some that arm when he was hitting Kayshawn Booty on deep throws,
Hello.
in the
And
middle of
you
a
just
game.
said the name, Kayshawn Booty. Don't nobody know who Kayshawn Booty is. If you talk, don't nobody know who he is. Now you got a number one receiver in Diggs, although he's coming off an ACL injury. I can't see him being 100% probably to start the season.
It's hard
But
because when you watch him practice, like, he's posting these workout videos 24/7. It's a guy who does not look like there's anything holding him back.
I feel that. And I'm looking forward to that. And Vrabel, we know Vrabel in defense. We know he's gonna get that defense right. We know they're gonna be tough. That's how his Tennessee teams played. So
Yeah.
we know they're gonna be tough. I just know that it's going to be an uphill battle for them to make it. If they can make it, it'll probably be the 6 or 7 seed. But they're certainly not to where they're not where Buffalo is right now.
No,
I
no.
don't see that. But they can possibly make some noise. I do have a bonus question, real quick. What's the game that you're looking forward to covering this year on the schedule?
The game, I think the Titans game has got to be the best one on the Patriots schedule just because it's Vrabel's homecoming to Tennessee, getting it's Cam Ward versus Drake May. Um, just it's a lot to see there. That's got to be the number one.
Okay, I'm with you on that. Well, listen, this has been a dope conversation, Sophie. I really enjoyed the stories that you gave me. I really enjoy your background, as I said before. My final question to you is there anything else you would like to add about yourself, the job, or anything at all before we conclude?
Don't let anyone tell you you can't do it. Don't let it happen. You know, was I the most knowledgeable on football growing up? No. I could watch a game and understand a game, but talking about, like who's in the X, who's playing X, who's playing all this. I couldn't sit there and do that. And but when I got to cover camp with Mass Live, I just figured out I loved to cover football. There was so many different angles to take, and I was able, you can learn it. Um, I never get down on yourself or think that you can't do it. Especially in this industry and especially for women in this industry, because that's a big thing is that
Absolutely.
there aren't a ton of us at all times, especially whether it's on the beat or, something like that. But our voices matter. Um,
Yes.
there are angles that, there are questions we'll ask that I'm sure some people will never think to ask. We all have a unique voice, and no one should be telling you you can or can't do something.
Mm. Well said, Sophie Weller. I want you to take care and enjoy the rest of your Monday evening and the rest of your week. You and I would definitely be in touch.
Definitely.
Obviously, I hope I see you down the line at some game because I think that'd be amazing to bump
Yes.
heads with you in person. 'Cause I think you're amazing. So you take care.
Thank you for having me.
No doubt.